Blog Talk Radio.
Warning, the following program may include profane language, controversial viewpoints, and perspectives on the true nature of reality so far removed from the status quo, they'll make your head spin like a top. Young children, corporate executives, and religious fundamentalists should turn away now.
Good planet Earth, and welcome to Extraordinary Year. I'm Tim Bravo. Thank you for joining us tonight. T-minus 127 days until December 21st, 2012. Guest call-in number is 858-956-2147. You'll also find that at the top of the episode page if you're listening in. And if you're listening to this show, chances are you consider yourself a light worker. We know there are a lot of us out there. We know there are more every day. Those of us who have been in the proverbial trenches for a while, we notice a sort of ebb and flow to light work. Sometimes we're super energized and hopeful, and other times we're hanging on to that hope by a thread. We spend a lot of time waiting. We've been told for longer than we care to remember that changes are just around the corner. So we wait. And as change continues to be slow and elusive, we grow frustrated or even depressed, despondent. And you know what one of the most frequent solutions experts prescribe for depression is? Activity. Activity. So yeah, we're ready for disclosure. We're ready for free energy. We know we're ready for all secrets to come to light, all religious lies to be exposed, humanity's true history and legacy to be revealed for all to see. We're ready for contact with our space brethren. Teleportation, a pollution-free environment, real health food. We're ready for all lack and need on this planet to be erased by abundance. We're ready for spiritual truths leading to ascension. We're ready for the veil to be lifted off from us so we can reconnect with our full soul. But apparently, that's not happening today. Well, fuck. I guess we could spend this week's show bitching about it and wishing for it and complaining about it. We can do it together. You can call in, we can bitch about it. We can lament it. Or we can get off our duffs and do something. We can do some activity. We're sitting here waiting for the galactics to reveal themselves to the world, since our planetary governance clearly isn't gonna. We're sitting here waiting for some massive white hat takeover of the major systems of the planet. Each day we're hoping chemtrails will just stop, that mainstream media will start reporting what's really real. We're waiting. And I know I can't speak for you guys, but I'm starting to slip back into hopelessness on the whole matter all over again. So I'm going to get off my duff and I'm going to do something. Furthermore, I'm going to put the challenge in front of each and every one of you to do the same, to join me. I'm not talking about collective intention. We've done that. We've done that on the show. It's awesome. But I'm talking about action, real action. So I want to explain to you guys why I'm so fervent about this tonight. I had a video on my watch later list on YouTube. You know, those tend to stack up if you utilize that function. And then, you know, you get a moment, you're like, I'll check out what I've got on my watch later list. You head over to YouTube and you watch something. And, you know, so a lot of them are like 2 hours and stuff, and they're specials, and they're really well done. Stuff done by UFO TV or Project Camelot interviews, stuff that's like crazy 2-3 hour stuff. You're like, I just don't have time for that. I can't fit it in. You want to do it all at once. You don't want to do it in segments. So, you know, they sit on the watch later list. But you also get like little 10-minute views, dilly bobbers and stuff. And one of those was a vlog post, a video log by Foster Gamble from the Thrive movement that I had sitting there, I don't know, maybe a month, maybe more, I don't know. But it was basically his announcing that the Thrive Solutions model page, the Thrive Solutions hub on the thrivemovement.com website, was up and running and was kind of explaining everything that you could find there. And I wish I'd found it sooner, because, I don't know, it totally inspired me. And so, I just kind of marveled at the organization of what Foster and Kimberly and the Thrive team have put together with this page. And, it inspired me. I decided they made it so easy. How can I not make use of this wonderful resource? And so, like I say, I was inspired. And, so I decided I'm going to take action, and, I was really thinking about it last night. I had a hard time sleeping, because I was like, how do we put this into action? How and when? And, what's the real root of the problem? If I'm going to go into action, what is it that I want to affect? I really want to get to the root of the problem. And what's the biggest problem right now that we're facing in this world? And I don't know what your answer to that question would be, but after pondering it, I think that the biggest problem we face today is awareness. There is no awareness of these things that are so real. And because the media is controlled and so many people rely on the media and believe it to be credible, and leave it as the last word in making up their mind as to what's real in this world. Because of that, it is very difficult to break through, even with grassroots information. And the elite of this planet have done a very successful job of making sure that whatever truth did leak out, received so much cajoling and ridicule that it was completely, the credibility was just usurped and undermined. So, awareness, that's our number one problem. I can't tell you how many times I have had the thought or said, in conversation, especially to my wife, Monica, if only people knew, that this free energy technology was existent a century ago, and then imagine what has been done with it behind our backs, under our noses, using our tax money in the last 100 years in black ops projects. If people only knew what this technology was capable of and the implications for the entire planet, if people only knew that those chemtrails, those white streaks across the sky, were really dumping crap on the planet that was killing everything. If only people knew that 9/11 was a complete hoax where the wool was completely pulled over their eyes. If people actually, were given an actual honest investigation. If people only knew. So awareness is the problem, and that's something that we can actually do something about. And that's something I can do something about. So while we're waiting, I'm thinking, let's work to make people know. Let's get out there. So here's the plan, kids. Last night, was it last night? It may have been last night. In the last 24 hours, I set up a Thrive Solutions group on Facebook. And I registered it with the Thrive movement through their website. It's called Thrive Wichita, and you can find it on the Thrive Solutions Hub map. If you go to the thrivemovement.com website and navigate to the Thrive Solutions Hub, there's a map there where you can find all the Thrive Solutions groups. And right in the middle of Kansas, there's only one sticker, and that would be us. Or you can search for it on Facebook if you live in Wichita and you're listening in. But that's just the beginning. having this group and deciding that, we're going to sign on to the Thrive Solutions Hub, it's no good unless we take action. So here's what I'm going to do. Since awareness is the number one problem we're facing, I'm going to attack that. How am I going to attack that? How about this? I propose a Thrive Awareness Weekend, September 1st and 2nd. That would be Labor Day weekend, but not Labor Day itself. It would be the Saturday and the Sunday. And I'm not talking about the entire weekend. I'm just talking about chunks of time in the afternoons. This is what I'm thinking. Saturday, September 1st, have an event, a Thrive Awareness Outreach event, where you and your Thrive group go out into the public with printed materials and basically explain to people, about this movie. Ask them to go check it out. It's free, and all they have to do is go to thrivemovement.com, and they can see the movie, or they can search it on YouTube. It's very accessible, and it's completely free, as it should be. And I applaud the Thrive Movement and Foster Gamble and everyone there with Clear Compass Media for making this movie free to the public. So I think that first day we just go out into the community and we push the movie, ask people to go home and watch it. Somebody's going to go watch it and they're going to get astounded. And then we also let them know that the next day we're going to do a little demonstration. And then Sunday, September 2nd, there's a Thrive Awareness demonstration where we get out with signs in downtown areas, in places with people, and hold our signs and get together and have them be Thrive-centric, Thrive-themed signs. Try to keep on message, Google Thrive Movement or Thrive Movie, Free Energy Now, stuff like that. And, use the graphics that are supplied by Thrive Movement to make flyers. You can fax and email press releases to local media ahead of time. And so here's the challenge. This is what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on seeing how many people I can get to stand out with me and walk out in the public. And if it's just me, guess what? I'm going to do it. And anybody in Wichita who is Thrive literate or not, anybody out there who wants to come and join me is welcome. And here's the challenge. I want you guys to do it with me. I want you guys to go to thrivemovement.com, navigate to the Solutions Hub, or you can actually go to our Facebook if you're already on there, facebook.com/extraordinaryyear. We have a link to the Solutions Hub. And basically you go there, and the first thing you do is you look to see on that map if there's already a group in your area. If there is, go join it. Get active. If there's not already a group, then the first thing you need to do is create a group on Facebook. So you go to Facebook, go to groups, create a group, and then you should name that group Thrive, then your town's name. Like for us, it's Thrive Wichita. And they specifically say that you probably shouldn't use states and especially countries, because then you get multiple people thinking that they're this, that, or, somebody like the state is over the city, in organization or whatever. And that's not what they want. That's not what the Thrive Movement is about. It's about everybody on the same playing field at the same level. It's about everybody being a team, no hierarchy at all. And so you just go in there and create for your specific location. Thrive, Oak Park, Thrive, Springfield, wherever it is that you are. And then once you have your group set up on Facebook, send it my way through the Facebook page. Let me know about it. And then also as your group grows, or, you have things going on, post updates on the Facebook page, the Extraordinary Year Facebook page. Make sure I know about it, because we're gonna do a big deal about this. We're gonna track this. Everybody out there who does it, we're going to talk about it. We'll share photos and video, etc., after the first action, and just basically make this a very interactive community type thing on a global scale, while acting extremely locally to grow awareness of. Because here's the deal with Thrive. This is why I push this. This is why I push this movie. Thrive is the most all-encompassing, well-produced look at what's real, what we're really facing, and what's really been hidden from us, by whom and why. It's very well put together. It's very comprehensive, and because of its sheen and shine, is a very attractive tool for spreading awareness. And so that's why I'm really backing this movie, and I'm seeing it as a complete opportunity to not just sit here. And I bought the movie, I watched it again, I've shared the movie with people, but not many. And it's been a while, and I've kind of lost my Thrive fervor. But this movie is such an opportunity for us, while we sit and wait about, and complain about nothing really happening. We'd like to see things happening. We see little evidences here and there, but we're just sitting and waiting. We're waiting for the shoe to drop. And we don't have to. We can spend our time being proactive, and in doing so, we'll be helping the whole scenario. So that's my challenge. Get out there, do it with me. Share it. We'll make it a community thing on the Facebook. I don't care where you are. I don't care what country you're in. I don't care what town, what state, what country, what island. If you're out there, if you're listening to this, and you actually want to be proactive and have the balls to get out in your own local area and say this shit, then I challenge you to join me, because I don't care. I'm going out there. I'm doing this. Let's make this global and just have fun with it, and actually do something. And if anybody needs help in the way of graphic stuff, I'll probably be creating templates that people can use and take, as far as flyers for the first day, signs for the second day. Let's not half-ass this. Let's get out there and really spread awareness. And this movie is our biggest asset in this fight. So let's get as many eyeballs watching this movie as we can. Like I said, the way I look at it is Foster Gamble and the Thrive Movement folks, they went to a lot of trouble to organize this Solutions Hub. They really thought about this, and probably held meetings on meetings, and had subcommittees themselves, just like the sort that they actually suggest. They make great suggestions. They have great outlines for how you can run a group. You don't have to. They're awesome suggestions. There are just a ton of resources at this Thrive Solutions Hub to keep any group actively active. We don't have to sit and wait. Look, we're going to keep track of the information. We're going to stay on top of the news, right? We can't stop ourselves from it. But I don't know if you guys do the same thing I do, but I sit there and look at my phone, and I'm like, okay, I've gone through every email. And I've gone through all my key websites that I go to, and there's no news other than what I already know. And I've checked the earthquake alerts. Soho, yeah, nothing going on, okay. And then you're like, well, world still hasn't changed. You're just waiting. And then there's nothing else. So, I'm saying you got that dead time. Instead of sitting there going, oh, I wish it would just happen already. You know what? Do something. Do something. So it's time to sound off. I want you guys to call in. When you guys out there listening, hell, all of you guys out there listening, sound off segment is for you guys to all call in. Let's have a conversation. I'm inviting you. Call in 858-956-2147, and that's at the top of the episode page. Just go check it out. Dial it. Call in. Give us your 2 cents. Sound off.
Sound off.
If not, I'm just going to keep blabbering. So, here are my thoughts on a good reason why we should do this. Because look at what we do normally. It's 2012. We have made a really important resource out of this whole thing called the internet. And we use the internet all the time. Some of us are using it with, Skype and video messaging and voice messaging and stuff like that. But really, the grand majority of us, and me included, are keyboard only. We're keyboard warriors. We're out there, we're posting, and we're talking about stuff, and people are in forum boards, and they're discussing stuff. But here's the deal. It's all online work. It's all one way of communication, where you're using your brain a certain way to communicate through the written word, and you're typing it out with your fingers. But that's not the only way we communicate. We communicate differently using different methods. We're talking not written versus spoken versus, actual in person. Because, while I'm talking to you right now, that's spoken communication. Trust me, I write differently than I speak. I use different parts of my brain. That's science. But in-person communication adds further variables. Who are you talking to? What is, how is it that you can best convey the message to them, incorporating your, intuitive body language or whatever. There are other factors that come into in-person communication. And so that's what I'm saying is, let's get out there and let's talk to people in person, because how they respond, you might run into them on the internet and they're just a damn troll. You know the guys and girls, I suppose. The ones out there who are just out there pissing on everything to do it. Some of them paid to do it to, basically sway public opinion. But let's say you take one guy out there he's just obnoxious and ornery and gets his kicks by playing devil's advocate and just being a troll. But you get him in a conversation on the phone, well, he might still be a troll. He might still be talking shit. But then you get him in an in-person conversation, and 9 out of 10 of these guys don't have the cojones to actually talk some shit to your face. They don't have the balls to actually hold this conversation or hold that end of the conversation, because they're probably too intimidated by the in-person contact to be able to think of all the things that they can while they're typing and using a different part of their brain. And I'm not saying that you're going to run into trolls, on this Saturday outreach. My point is that people communicate differently using different modes of communication. So if we get out there in person, we have an opportunity to be true light workers. If we go out with an attitude of, we envelop ourselves in love, unconditional love for humanity, and we walk out on our mission with the mindset that everyone we meet is a brother, a sister, is an other us, that we are all one, and that what is good for all of us is good for me. if we walk out with that attitude wrapped around us, that whole sort of Christ consciousness intention wrapped around us, well, there's no way that they're not going to be able to feel that, whether or not they know it. Instinctually, they're going to feel that. And if we can go out there and not be defensive, even if we do run into some people who are not open to what we have to say, if we can get out there and talk to people in person, we may just have a much better chance of convincing them to watch the movie. And once they're in the door, I'm sorry, all bets are off. If you actually watch that movie, you're not, even if you're a complete disbeliever, you're going to be thinking about it and wondering about it. Wow, maybe, what if? You're not going to be able to help it. That's my opinion. That's my guess. We can use that to make a real difference in growing awareness in our local areas, while doing it all together as like a global thing or a national thing, depending on whatever groups we get. I'd really like to see a group in the UK, a group in Australia, of course Canada. Everybody out there listening, I know we've got listeners in all sorts of different countries because I've seen you all on the insights on the Facebook page. If we can get people all over the planet to do this, not only will we be doing it virtually as a community through the extraordinary year experience that we're partaking in together, but we'll actually be growing awareness, hyper awareness in a hyper local area directly around us, and grow these little pockets of light. And then, these people who are awakened, how many of them are going to be so inspired that they have to go out and share this with the people they love most, because they're not going to be able to stand it, just like you couldn't. Do you remember? You remember when you didn't have this point of view of the world? Do you remember when you were a follower of the status quo and probably blissfully happy? But you remember that? You remember how different it was? How your approach to the world and how you saw things, and right and wrong, and duality and separation. And do you remember? Well, that's what we're up against. But do you also remember when it changed for you? Do you remember how inspired you were? Do you remember how drastic a change it was for you? Imagine that happening to somebody else feeling that elation, that strong emotion, that sense of reconnection with spirit, with their true selves. Imagine giving somebody else that experience. That's what I'm talking about. And that's just the beginning. I want it to be a good, strong collective action. Let's not half-ass it. Let's do something real with it. But then what? What about the aftermath? Now we have groups set up, ready to go. We can have meetings. We can grow the group, thrive. That communication or that solutions hub has so much material and so many recommended actions. And there are so many, these 12 sectors of our society that we can focus on, and 3 different levels per sector. There's so much opportunity for everyone to do what they're most interested in. And every person is going to be interested in something a little bit different, a different set of items than everybody else. But you get a group big enough, eventually they're going to cover the spread. And there are so many recommended actions per group. I mean, there's so many things to try and do that we're going to be able to spend our time, and hopefully we'll be so busy that time will fly and the changes will be upon us before we even know it. And we'll be like, man, glad we're done waiting. Let's get on with this. And really, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about getting there. We all want to get there. We all know where we're going. We're all ready for it. But it ain't here today. It's here in the now, but it's not in the now, if you know what I mean. We're still waiting. Like I said at the top of the show, we can sit here with our thumb up our butts and complain about it and lament the fact that nothing seems to be happening fast enough for us. Or we can get busy and see if we can't just force the issue ourselves, at least a little bit. And in the end, we'll say that, we'll be able to say that we contributed as much as we could. And right now, I believe the Thrive movie is our best asset. We got to push it. And that's the deal. If we want to grow awareness, use Thrive. It's so well produced. It's so comprehensive. It communicates so clearly, so well what needs to be communicated. That's our asset. That's what we push. If we can get people to watch it. If people only knew, this whole world would be a different place. If people only knew what free energy could do, what it really meant, and that it's real and has been suppressed, that people have been, all kinds of people have been killed over it, have been beat up, threatened, had their labs ransacked and confiscated multiple times to keep this out and away from us. If people only knew what anti-grav and all the science and scientific understandings that come with understanding anti-gravity and time travel and interdimensional travel, because these are all linked and these are all real technologies that we can have as humans, because we've already developed these things allegedly in collusion with extraterrestrials of a sort. But that's what we know we have. Imagine the sorts of things that we could get from these civilizations, these benevolent civilizations that want nothing but the best for us and our civilization. Imagine what these advanced civilizations might be able to introduce to us once we're mature enough, once we understand the implications and the spiritual realities that enable us to use these technologies responsibly. Imagine what all these things mean. If people only knew that there never had to be another car accident. If people only knew that, their loved one that they know, and we all know somebody who died in a car accident. You can only get to a certain age and live in the Western world and not have somebody that die from a car accident. You probably have more than one. And then also have somebody who's paralyzed that I know I do. And God forbid you actually, have a loved one die in a car accident because they're senseless. Because we can create vehicles that have their own gravity fields, and when they bump into each other, it's not going to affect the inside. And you don't need the roads, and you don't need to pay for the upkeep on the roads, and you don't need all the parking lots in the roads to keep the rain from soaking into the earth. If people only knew what these chemtrails are doing to our trees, to our soils, and how long that stuff would be there. If people only knew what the radiation from Fukushima is doing to this entire planet. That's something we're going to have to clean up too. The oceans are dying. Last July was the hottest on record. We had something crazy like 90% of the Icelandic glacier melt occur in this period of 4 days last month. All right. Area code 504. What do you got to say about all this craziness?
I was wondering if you heard about the something in Louisiana that fell in, and they said it was radioactive. Did you hear anything about that?
Sinkhole. I have, Dutch Sense has been tracking that. Apparently, I don't have the full story. I don't have the deep details. I did hear something about the radiation, but I don't know specifically about that. I do know that there appears to be some sort of a salt dome there that they have somewhat excavated and used. And this salt dome is like a naturally occurring, basically like this salt like surged up through the layers of rock, and there's just this huge deposit of salt rock that they have drilled down into, and they're using it. I mean, by they, I mean oil companies, energy companies, are using it to store butane. And like so much butane, Dutch says that he's done the computations. I haven't checked him on it, but he says that it'd be something like multiple Hiroshimas were it to explode.
Oh my gosh. Well, I live in Louisiana, so it's not good news.
Yeah, God bless you, sister.
Yeah, we've had our share of problems here.
Now, how far is that from you?
Probably 40 minutes. 40 minutes in a car. But, I mean, we had BP, Katrina. It just seems like a lot goes on around here. Yeah. We have Monsanto right down the road.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love those guys.
Yeah, that's another good one. They're probably dumped somewhere around here. It just doesn't seem like, I don't know, as many people, maybe I'm just being negative, care. I feel like it's good for me to stay here and maybe hold the light, you know?
Well, and that's true, and I guess they say that we have soul contracts, and at the soul level we know we are where we're supposed to be, or if we're not, we have the intuitive push to go where we are needed. And so, yeah, that's probably something you can try to talk with your higher self about if you can find a way to contact your higher self or whatever. You know, the spiritual aspect of life is so unique to each person and so individual because nobody else can really point it out to you. You only know you're spiritual through your own personal contact with your spirit. And so, you know, what it means for you is probably going to be different from what it means for me. But
yeah.
If you can talk to your higher self or kind of get an intuition or maybe ask for a dream, some sort of guidance on whether or not you should be there at that, you know, at this time, because at the end of the day, you know, death is not something to be afraid of. It's the biggest, best release of our lives. And some of us, we're told, you know, have signed on to have things happen. At the same time, there don't necessarily need to be things that happen, these major catastrophes, and it hasn't happened, so we can still choose a different ending. So maybe staying there holding the light is going to be enough. Maybe you're at the right point on the earth grid to juice it just enough to, you know, like lessen the effects or the attraction of that area to a certain sort of event that you wouldn't like to see happen.
Yeah, no, usually where I am, like Katrina and all that, it'll be like a little pocket where I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? Even in the bad areas, there would be certain houses that were kind of untouched. It was very bizarre. Same kind of thing. I'm sure that goes on in most disaster sites, you know. Some are touched and some are not.
Well, do you remember the Christmas Eve Indonesian earthquake and tsunami?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so devastating, and we're talking 200,000 plus people died. And, you know, the Earth's rotation sped up and changed axis. But I don't know if you saw the picture, but you know, there's all this devastation in the Aceh province. I don't know. I think it was Sumatra or Indonesia. I'm not sure which country it was actually in, but like everything was devastated. All the trees were decimated, all the houses were gone. It was just like a landscape wiped clear, except for a mosque that was just standing out in the middle of everything.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
And the elephants left. They left.
Cool. Well, you know, They've got a lot of extra senses, and that's another thing that I like to talk about on the show, is that people don't realize that there are spectrums of reality other than what we have ability to perceive. But other beings can perceive them. Elephants, can perceive more, in the vibration, lower vibrations, higher vibrations. A lot of animals can, sense spiritual, auric sorts of vibrations and see stuff like that. So we forget that there are aspects to reality that are not included in our very finite perception, and we tend to think that anything that's not within our perception cannot be real. And so, So
thank you.
No, that's fine. I would recommend you keep tabs on that whole radiation thing. Go check that out. And now that you've said something, I'm gonna try and research that and post something to the Facebook page tomorrow to find out if that claim is true. So take care of yourself there. Hey, Nat, I assume you listened to this whole Thrive spiel I've just been on?
Oh, yeah, part of it. I didn't get the whole thing, but part of it.
Okay, have you seen the movie?
What movie?
Thrive.
Oh, no, that part I haven't. No, I'm sorry.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Our biggest thing is awareness. And I'm here to tell you, sister, that Thrive is a very well communicated thing. I think you should go check it out. It's really easy.
Thrive.
It's a regular movie. ThriveMovement.com. Just go watch the movie for free.
Okay.
And see how it plays off you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for your call. So let's see. We've got a few minutes left. We're talking about the aftermath, but you know what? Let's talk about news. We've had enough of this Thrive stuff. Let's talk about what's going on in the world, other than the fact that Tim just got re-inspired by Thrive and wants to challenge people to get off their butts and actually talk to people about it. In the news this week, Irish debt forgiveness. We've heard rumors. Well, I guess it was Iceland. Rumors of Icelandic debt forgiveness, but Ireland is apparently talking about letting people who are just ridiculously backlogged on their mortgages to ask for and receive debt forgiveness, a modicum, an amount, but they're talking about it. And this was reported in the Mortgage Finance Gazette, an industry rag. The mortgage industry is talking about debt forgiveness of Irish homeowners. And if the subject's been broached, it's just a matter of time. Having this story be in the Mortgage Finance Gazette, to me, is like an article pushing single-payer health care found in the American Medical Association, newsletter or something. So that's big. Another big story. Dozens of, I don't know how big this is, but it's interesting. Dozens of birds fall out of the sky in New Jersey, like in the last couple days. Well, does anybody remember this stuff happening before a couple of years ago? Is it just me that, maybe this stuff has always happened and we didn't know about it? Because it just seems to me that all of a sudden, since like late 2010, actually the first big one was New Year's Eve 2011, when BB, Arkansas, thousands of birds, blackbirds, just fell out of the sky, and then they did it like other places, and it just kept happening. And we're talking, and then fish were dying, and crazy, just mass animal deaths. This is dozens of birds. Probably not as big a thing, but why is it happening? Why is it happening? And why is it happening now? What is the deal? And I want somebody to tell me, has this always happened? Because I don't remember this happening when I was a kid. I remember hearing about it. I only know about this in the last couple of years. So if somebody knows better, let me know, and I won't be as amazed and suspicious and perplexed next time I hear about dozens of birds falling out of the sky dead for no reason. Okay. You know that when the Olympics started, actually the week before the Olympics started, I was saying it would be great if we had a mass sighting at the Olympics, and then we thought we had a UFO at the Olympics open ceremony, and then it turned out to be a blimp. Only, is it really a blimp? I don't think so. It's up in the air for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's just a freaking blimp, and for a lot of people, it's a flying saucer. But it's not definitive. It's still a freaking argument. So apparently, there was also another UFO caught on camera during the closing ceremonies, and I mean, it's just a few frames, super fast and kind of faint in the distance. But when slowed down and, having some filters applied that kind of break it out against the background, it's definitely a freaking saucer flying through the screen. So, not that anybody's going to hear about it, not that, you're going to see it in the Huffington Post this time, but they're still there. Also in the news, Justice Department, the United States Justice Department, is saying that they're going to release people they know are innocent. They're so nice. They're going to release all the innocent people. Thanks, guys. But here's the deal. This is why this is news, because they normally wouldn't. Because even they go, the United States Justice Department, this is what they do. They go into court and they say, effectively, yeah, we know they're probably innocent, but we're going to recommend that you go ahead and keep them in prison. No, seriously, this is what they did. So they've turned around, they've seen the error of their ways, and they say they're going to release the innocent people. So, I'm just looking at this going, well, is that change? Is this one of the little changes? Is this one of the little chipping away at the stone and getting us to the world we want to live in type of thing? What's this all about? Also change, and this one's pretty big. I think a lot of people never would have seen this as being a reality in their lifetimes. The first openly gay general in the United States military. We have a general in the United States military who is openly gay. Now, it's a lesbian, so I don't know if it makes a difference to military folk. The good old boys, if it's a fudge packer or a muff diver. But we have a lesbian who is openly gay, and she is a general and serves her country. And the United States is open about it, and I think that is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful change. It's sad that we have to see something like that and think it's a great thing. Equality should just be unquestioned. It's in the preamble, but whatever. I think we need to get to a world where humans are humans. Borders are stupid. Patriotism is idiocy. We are one. We're one planet in a solar system, in a galaxy with hundreds of billions of solar systems. And the galaxy is in a universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies. And for all we know, the universe is one of an infinite number of universes. And that each of these universes has an infinite number of parallel universes. And, for us to, look at all that and go, USA, USA, makes us look like fucking morons. So, I think humans are humans, so why should it be you and I should? Tears for Fears. You remember? Okay. Also in the news, the Egyptian revolution continues to unfold. When it first came and they had Tahrir Square and, thousands and thousands of people, and they overthrew their government, and they got Mubarak out of there, and it looked like things were, the people were taking over, and then we find out that the military is taking over temporary control of government. Okay, well, then we have elections, and the people go and they elect an interim government. They have legislators. Well, then the military says, yeah, we're closing down Parliament. We're going to take over legislation for the country. And this new president, he's just kind of whatever. He doesn't have a whole lot of real power. We're just going to go ahead and hold on to that power for you, okay? And the people said, what? Well, just announced the last couple days, the defense minister, the head of the military, ousted in Egypt. And the president is making a play, and, with popular groundswell of support, the military isn't, acting, pushing back against him. And it looks like the people's revolution in Egypt is actually flexing its muscles and getting its way. And so that's good news. So we're just tons of great news. Irish debt forgiveness, Justice Department in the U.S. releasing innocent people. Great, guys. Thanks. We got an openly gay general. The Egyptian revolution is actually, making a difference. Also found out that nuke plants in the United States, nuclear energy plants, did I say nuclear? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Nuclear energy plants in the United States, as they are coming up for review, are being shut down and not going to be put back online until, according to the United States, we figure out this whole nuclear waste problem. Because, we still haven't figured this out. We've been, bickering about it for decades. Nobody wants it, but there's a ton of it. We keep making more. What are we going to do about it? Well, until it's resolved, the United States says, as nuclear plants come up for review, they're getting shut down and they're not coming back online. That is awesome. That is so good. I am no fan of fossil fuels, but I would burn coal every day as opposed to nuclear, because that stuff, those byproducts are so toxic, poisonous to this planet. Mother Earth cannot hold those in her. The life it touches, it kills. It's just a bad, bad thing. And there are so many better ways to get energy. That's another thing, is we don't need this crap. We could have localized energies. We don't need power grids. We don't need power lines. We can have local power. Each house can have its own power station where it just pulls energy out of the fabric of the universe. Cars could have it, vehicles, whatever they are. Personal effects, phones, the fabric of the universe is replete with energy, and we can pull on it anytime we want. The technology is there. We don't need this stuff. We don't need these toxic nuclear plants built on fault lines. We don't need coal plants. We don't need oil refineries. We haven't needed them for a long, long time. And so any move that gets us closer to a world where we don't use those things is okay by me. And speaking of fault lines and quakes, I have actually had people in California contact me, ask me if I've heard anything, and I've seen people asking questions of Dutch and suspicious observers on YouTube, 2 accounts that I follow, you guys know. And it appears there's quite a bit of quake activity going on in California right now. That's not out of the ordinary. I mean, apparently it's more than they've been experiencing, but it's pretty normal for California to experience quake activity. What's suspicious is the fact that California is not talking about it, and that the USGS is pulling quakes. They're not just downgrading them, which is, something they do on a regular basis, where, there'll be a quake and they'll downgrade it, then they'll re-downgrade it. And, before you know it, it's an order of magnitude or thereabouts lower than it actually was when it first posted. There have been multiple 5-pointers in California that have just disappeared from the record. They just scrubbed them. They didn't downgrade them. They just erased them. And these are 5-pointers. That's a significant magnitude. People feel that, and to say that it's not there. These people can look and check and see what. But I know, and everybody felt it. What the hell? So that's suspicious. Why are we having moderately significant earthquakes just not reported? Actually, they show up and the data's there, and then it all disappears. What is that about? So anyway, since you guys are just hanging out there listening, and since we have just a couple minutes left in the show, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to go here. So I want to thank you guys for another successful week. Hanging out on the page. I love having conversations with you guys on the Facebook page. So stick around, go check that out. Facebook.com/extraordinaryyear. If you haven't already, like us, spread the word, spread the stories. It's a super easy way to find other people who are like you, and to help spread the light on the planet, amongst your own Facebook friends. If you're on the Twitter, you can follow me at Tim Bravo, one word. So that is it for us on this 170. Now,
do not be afraid.
It's going to be an extraordinary year. Peace is on its way. Namaste.